Hello, thank you so very much for joining us here to discuss Lion's Quest for At-Risk Children. If you heard my presentation, don't stop now because the first few slides will just be talking about the need, and then we're going to get into the solution for all children around the United States. Let me share my screen with you and begin to talk about what we are doing to change the lives of youth in Alabama. I'm so excited to announce that the Alabama Supreme Court has agreed to put Lion's Quest into the vision for juvenile courts in all 67 counties across our state beginning in October. Of course, Alabama Lions have been working very hard for the last 3 years to foster the relationships necessary to get to this point. But when we bring Alabama Lions together with Alabama Juvenile Courts and Lion's Quest, we're going to begin to change lives one smile at a time. Some of you may ask, why is it necessary? Every 45 seconds in the United States, a child or teen is arrested. Every 2 minutes, a child is placed into foster care. Somewhere in the United States, every 24 hours, the school is in session. Over 14,000 students are suspended or expelled. And gun violence continues to be the leading cause of death for ages 1 through 19. In Alabama, the Department of Justice Office of Juvenile Justice reports that in 2021, that approximately 5,000 youth were adjudicated. That number is closer to 6,000 now. The foster care system served 9,175 children in the fiscal year 2020. And approximately 59,000 students received out-of-school suspensions annually in Alabama, and 892 students are expelled. That's why that we as Lions must provide hope to the hopeless, and we must recognize that youth has been added back as a global cause for Lions as we change society, as we improve the life of our youth, we improve the quality of life for everyone in our community. Some of you already have heard me say that adverse childhood experiences are traumatic events that can and have negative, lasting effects on health and well-being. That's abuse, emotional, physical, or sexual abuse. It's neglect, emotional or physical neglect. It's those household challenges, the domestic violence, the divorces, the substance abuse, the mental illness, the parents separating, the incarcerated parents. All of those things are impacting our youth. And a child that has suffered 4 or more of those ACEs, adverse childhood experience, is 3 times the level of lung disease and adult smoking, 14 times the number of suicide attempts, 4.5 times more likely to develop depression. And a child that has 6 or more of these ACEs and has not dealt with them will pass from this earth 20 years earlier. Their life expectancy will be shortened. We not only can provide a better quality of life, we can provide a longer life to these children if we as the Lions will step up. And service leads membership. Serving our at-risk children will create opportunities for new clubs, will create opportunities for new members into existing clubs, and will expand our service impact so that each of us are impacting over 200 people per year. Wouldn't that be wonderful across the United States? Adverse childhood experience impact brain development. Children who suffer these experiences and are not treated, this slows their brain development. They trigger traumatic responses to internal and external stimuli, even into adulthood. And we know that because each of us listening here can identify a traumatic situation at school, at church, or in our home when we was a child. And when we encounter a similar situation now, even as adults, we bristle just a little. And ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, require both clinical and non-clinical intervention and support across all life domains, home, school, and community. We are not and cannot provide the clinical solution, but the non-clinical intervention we can, and we can do that through Lions Quest. The Lions Quest lessons are focused on skills that students need to learn and they're not learning anywhere else. Clarifying your values and growth opportunities. You know, a lot of our children have no self-esteem and don't really know their own worth. And the lesson deals with clarifying your values and growth opportunities is an opportunity for them to begin to build that life, that self-esteem, self-respect, and learning about self-respect, exploring people's emotions, stressed out and what to do about it, communicating the what, when, why, and how messages. Each of these lessons, as they've been taught over the last 3 years in Lawrence County, Alabama, has a success story. Healthy versus unhealthy friendships, conflict solved, the bully, the bullied, and the bystander, understanding that each of us have a responsibility, the unhealthy results of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, styles of decision making, outside pressure, modeling a healthy lifestyle, and reflecting on learning. There's a total of 16 lessons, each helping our students to discover for themselves how that they can function in society, break the cycle, and move beyond their current living situation. Lions Quest in Alabama, currently we have the Lawrence County model, which has been around for 3 years. We are going to start the Escambia County Lions Quest program in August of 2025. Colbert County had one session in the spring of 2025, and hopefully we'll be able to start it again in the fall of 2025. Franklin County has a unique SNAP program, which is not run by the court systems, and also in Lauderdale County. Both SNAP programs have been using Lions Quest, maybe not to its fullest potential, and needs to be tweaked just a little bit. But that is what we need to do, is we need to continue to tweak our programs and move forward. Lions and the Juvenile Justice Court. In red, you'll see the Supreme Court's vision for juvenile courts. In white, you're going to see the Lions are on a mission and how we can use Lions Quest to move our mission forward. Mission 1.5, forming clubs, adding members, expanding our service impact. The common goal is to improve the lives of children across Alabama, across Kentucky, across the Southeast, and from coast to coast. And we can do that if we will. The Supreme Court's number one focus on the best interest of children and families. That's one of the objectives for juvenile courts. Lions Quest is a social emotional learning program that helps our students gain the life skills that they need, building skills for life and empowering families. Most of the lessons have take-home worksheets that can be shared with families. And also then, if your area would like to, you could even start a class talking with parents and using the same lessons that you're talking with the juveniles that are on probation. The second emphasis on rehabilitation and restorative justice. The courts have such a struggle balancing punitive and rehabilitative goals. Lions Quest provides a positive alternative to incarceration. Rather than sending someone to a juvenile detention facility to be held and segregated from society, Lions Quest gives us an opportunity for 16 weeks to share with them the life skills that they need to move forward. It addresses the root cause of the behavior. It talks about the self-esteem, talks about the decision-making, it talks about the drugs, it talks about how to resolve conflicts. It fosters community engagement. And in Lawrence County, what we did is we have one facilitator who introduces all the guest speakers to provide some continuity. But we also have 16 community leaders who have agreed to teach a lesson 2 or 3 times a year, the same lesson, to commit no more than 5 hours a year to saving the life of the child. And these students who are on juvenile probation, who one told me the other day that he grew up in a home that just accepted their plight and never looked on how to change it. And what he found in Lions Quest is 16 community leaders who were problem solvers and helped him to break that cycle, helped him to finish school, helped him to get a job, and continues to celebrate his successes along the way. It's that community involvement. And what do Lions do? Some Lions teach one or two of the classes. Some Lions sit in the back of the room and listen for needs that might come up. We had a situation where that a family had some food insecurities, and Lions was able to provide some food to the juvenile probation officers, who provided to the family very discreetly, and many other needs that have been exposed through just listening. And Lions Quest balances the punitive and rehabilitative goals. To quote Judge Terry says it's punitive to come every Wednesday afternoon at 3:30 after school to the courthouse, to the grand jury room, which is donated by the district attorney's office to be used for this program, and sit in the class. That is the punitive side. The rehabilitative side is the lessons and also the encounters they have with 16 community leaders. So when the court talks about emphasis on rehabilitation and restorative justice, Lions Quest, the way that it's structured, meets this objective as well. Ensuring fair and efficient proceedings. And Lions Quest is promoting positive interactions with the juvenile system, because these students are coming to the courthouse 16 weeks. They're visiting casually with their juvenile probation officer. Quite often, Judge Terry will come and just sort of sit down before the class starts and visit with them and ask them how the school's going and how they're doing on their community service hours, and just chat without a black robe on. And they get to see her as a human that cares. And there's Lions Quest is also developing respect for the law and authority. The security is checking them in, and the security has become very well acquainted with them over the 16 weeks. They too are asking questions. And when the class is over, do you have a ride home? Do I need to stand out here with you until your ride gets here? And we're beginning to foster that relationship between law and authority and our students. We're promoting that interaction with the court system and the juvenile probation officers. We're promoting interaction with 16 community leaders, and that's the superintendent, the social worker with the school system, some of the attorneys, some youth ministers, and church people in the community. We've got retired teachers. We've got current teachers. We've got some principals at some of the schools. We have people who love children, care about children, and are making an impact. And fourth, addressing the challenges and seeking improvements. Lions Quest is combating the school to prison pipeline. We have graduated in the last 3 years 130 students from the Lions Quest program. As of today, 10 have picked up new charges and gone back to see the judge. The other 120 have only seen the judge when she's shopping at Walmart. Lions Quest is promoting diversity and inclusion, because everyone in the class is there because they have been accused of a crime and been found guilty of delinquent act. We have male and female. We have African American or Caucasian. We have all different types of orientations, and they come together. And although the first lesson, they don't know one another very well, by the end of the 16 weeks, they have formed some bonds. And I will tell you that a few years back, one of the students said, "My mother is just driving me wild." And before the facilitator could say anything, one of the students says, "What is she doing?" He explained, and the other student says, "This is what I do when my mom does that," and gave him a solution of how to handle this controversial situation at home, which de-escalated the situation and helped this student to live peacefully at home. Lions Quest also allows the community leaders to mentor and assist with problem solving. There's many of our facilitators who get to know one or two of the students, and they really connect, and they stay connected way after the class is over. I personally have 2 or 3 that text me every time they get a good grade, every time the report card comes out. One that has graduated and has gotten a job, and when he gets a raise or promotion, he texts me. He knows that we care, and we're able to mentor and give them some suggestions, but also then assisting with problem-solving skills. One student said they didn't know how to get community service, nor did their parents. And if they did know how to get community service, their car was broke down most of the time and they wouldn't have a way to go to complete their community service hours. It was then that the superintendent of education worked out with the principals that if a student was involved in Lions Quest, they could work 1 hour a week during a study hall, during breaks, during a PE class around the school and get their community service hours completed by the end of the school term so that they could get off probation. We have people who are facilitating lessons who care about children. They'll solve problems for children, and they will mentor and take time with children. The most rewarding thing that I think has ever happened is last week, one of our former students called and said, "Mr. Thompson, I've been thinking, I need to pay back Lions Quest. Do you think the judge would let me teach one of those lessons and help the students that are where I was 3 years ago get to where I am today?" And I said, "I'll talk with the judge. And I'm not sure if she'll turn you loose right now all by yourself, but I bet you could co-teach." And when that happened, he was thrilled. I mentioned it to the superintendent, who says, "I'll tutor him on how to teach the lessons and facilitate, because as an educator, I know how to do that, and I'll prepare him for class." Once again, it's all of us adults coming together, rallying around these students and celebrating their success. It's like a glove in a hand. Lions Quest offers a framework and curriculum that aligns with the Alabama Supreme Court's vision for a more just, rehabilitative, and supportive juvenile court system. By integrating social and emotional learning, character development, and community engagement, the program can help youth develop essential skills, address root causes of behavior, and successfully reintegrate into their communities. We've seen it happen here in Lawrence County over the last 3 years, and I firmly believe that we're going to continue to see it happen as we break cycles, as we build healthier homes, as we create healthier lifestyles for our youth. So, what's next? 3 years ago, a few Lions of Alabama had a plan. Phase 1 was to build a relationship and develop a pilot program. Phase 2 was the pilot program and the implementation. And now, phase 3, expansion and sustainability. Let's review our progress through today, and then let's see where we go to from here. Phase 1 was to build those relationships. And the first step was to contact and engage with key stakeholders. We met with the juvenile court judges, we met with the Children's Policy Council, and we got people to believe that we could change lives, although they were a little skeptical early on. And the judge and the juvenile probation officers will all tell you today, when we first started, we didn't know how successful this program would be. Second, we developed a pilot program proposal in Lawrence County. We tweaked it to fit the needs and the desires of the court system. One, that there would be 16 caring adults who taught a lesson. Two, that these classes would be taught originally in the courtroom so that the kids, the students, would relate the courtroom to something other than being a punitive situation. After that, the district's attorney becomes so excited about the program, he offered the grand jury room for our Wednesday afternoon. And it's a much more comfortable, intimate setting, and we're able to teach there and everyone be fully engaged. But we developed that pilot program and we began to teach, but we needed some funds as well. We needed to buy the curriculum. We needed to teach, train teachers. We needed to talk about a graduation ceremony for these students. We needed to talk about certificates and frames. We ended up needing a computer to show the PowerPoints. And we turned to Lions Club's International Foundation, LCIF, for Lions Club promotional grant, $1,500 initially, so that we could host a luncheon for all the Children's Policy Council, so we could explain the program and we could recruit our facilitators. And then we applied for a $15,000 grant. And that $15,000 grant assisted us in buying the license, assisted us in providing the graduation certificates and the frames, and providing all of the material and the computer that we needed. So we secured our funding, we developed the program, and we had the buy-in of so many people in our community. We continue to highlight what we're doing in the local weekly newspaper so the whole community knows what the Lions Club's doing, what the court system's doing, and how our partnership with LCIF is changing lives. And so then we moved to implementing the program. We recruited and trained our Lions Club volunteers and the Children's Policy Council volunteers who were going to facilitate. We implemented the Lions Quest program. The judge ordered students to participate. Lions Quest lessons were distributed to all the facilitators. The room was set up and we were ready to go. And we began to evaluate and refine the program. We tried a male and female segregated class. It didn't really work out. And to be quite honest, most of you will be shocked, but it was the female class that had the most opportunities and the most disruptions. But when the male and female are together, that cuts down on that because they're not wanting to show that side of themselves to the others in the classroom. We found that the grand jury room was a better environment than the courtroom, the district courtroom. And so we changed what we were doing there. We've looked at some of the lessons and we've looked at some of the facilitators, and we've found lessons that meet the needs and the skill sets of our facilitators. It's important that you continue to evaluate and refine your program. We've completed that. And now we've built this network of volunteers in Lawrence County. We have such a successful program that the Alabama Supreme Court has heard about it and has called to inquire about it. And we're on the brink of being able to introduce it to 66 more counties across the state. And so it's time that we as Lions build a network of volunteers to advocate for statewide adoption. We're going to send out a constant contact email and ask for volunteers. We're going to highlight what we're doing at the Alabama Lions Leadership Conference at the end of this month. And we are going to continue to go county by county, judge by judge, until we have impacted the lives of over 6,000 children in the state of Alabama. We're expanding additional counties. We're going to modify the existing programs to make them as effective as they can be. And we're going to ensure some long-term sustainability. By following this plan, Lions Clubs International in Alabama can build a strong partnership with the state's juvenile justice system using Lions Quest programs to create a lasting, positive impact on the lives of adjudicated youth. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. I know that it's working, and it can work across Alabama, and it can work across the United States. If you need new clubs, if you need new members in existing clubs, Lions Quest will be the force that drives things forward. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at LQ changes with an S, lives with an S, at gmail.com. LQ changes lives at gmail.com. And so now it's time for a call to action. Will you, in your multiple district, be the lion who says, I will head up this initiative, and we will impact the children. We will improve the quality of life for everyone in our communities, and we will extend the lives of those who have had more than 6 adverse childhood experiences. I know you will, and I look forward to continue to work with you. Thank you We're ready to make a difference, and we need you to make a difference. Let me tell you that the PowerPoint that you've just seen can and will be adapted to whatever state, because almost every Supreme Court in the United States has a vision for the juvenile justice system. And if you will use artificial intelligence and ask the right questions, what is Alabama Supreme Court's vision for the juvenile courts in Alabama? It will tell you that 6 or 8 items that your Supreme Court has identified to move the juvenile court system in a positive direction. Once you get that answer and you've recorded those answers, the next question is, how does Lions Quest align with the vision of the Supreme Court to improve the juvenile justice system? Your artificial intelligence then will take each of those 6 or 8 points and they will insert where Lions Club fits. And that is the slides that you can replace here. And then finally, develop a 90-day plan of action to implement Lions Quest across the state of, and whatever your state is, and Lions and artificial intelligence will develop that 90-day plan of action. We can and will move forward when we embrace change, when we realize that we have the tools, we've just got to sell them in a new way. I'm excited to be here. lqchangeslives@gmail.com. I want to help you. I want to be the key to starting 50 new programs across the United States this year. And with your help, I don't mind to coach. And together, we're going to build clubs, we're going to build membership, we're going to change lives, and we are going to serve. Thank you so very much for all that you've done and all you continue to do for your community.